Hello, how are you? Yeah, as a coach, my musings for today are quite interesting. And I was thinking about the dilemma that probably exists for a lot of people right now. As a coach, we spend so much time helping people to want to change whatever it is their normal. And because very often their normal is not necessarily something they want. There's very often something in their normal is stopping them from achieving the things they want to, is feeling empowered, it's being able to, the normal is the beliefs that sometimes say that I can't rather than I can, that are those things that may be limiting their career and so on and so forth. But one of the things I was kind of musing on was the irony right now of the number of people out there who have probably commented, I can't wait for us to get back to normal. And actually I think it's just worth sometimes questioning or asking the question, what does that mean? A typical definition of normal implies very often status quo. It very often has the word conforming in there, conforming to a standard or a situation, conforming to something that is typical, that's routine. And all of those things that very often mean that there is something static and not dynamic about life and about maybe the normal us, actually is that we don't have necessarily the ability to focus on our own growth and change. And so I wondered whether it was just worth for lots of people right now, wherever you are, is thinking about reflecting on what was your normal. And actually, very often, when we have difference, and in this case, we've had difference thrust upon us, it's really easy to be able to look back and to see what's normal. There is a story that comes from Zen, which is where I first heard it, and I've shared it with loads of people because it's something that really sings out for me. Is there's two little fish swimming around a pond, and then there's a big old fish swimming the other way, and the big old fish says to the two little fish, "How's the water this morning?" And the two little fish swim off, and just when they're out of earshot, as they're giggling, thinking, what a strange thing to say, because they look at each other and go, what's water? And of course, unless you've been a fish out of water, then you don't necessarily know what water is. In the same way, right now, you probably are not thinking about the air that you're breathing, but would know quite quickly if it wasn't there. And so actually now we've been thrust into this period of change, into this period of being physically distant from people and having to think about new ways of working and new ways of being. For us as a family, we're into week 3 of that. We suddenly get to look at what was our normal. Was our normal incredibly long days? Was our normal at times feeling disconnected from our family? Was our normal not necessarily knowing just how much of ourselves we were committing to an employer, a situation, a set of being, a way of being, that we weren't necessarily being rewarded for? What beliefs do we hold to be true about ourselves that are now currently being challenged? So maybe there's an opportunity right now. Maybe there's an opportunity to be a little bit more like the caterpillar, rather than necessarily lots of other creatures. The caterpillar had a period of enforced self-isolation, and when it came out of that period of enforced self-isolation, it completely transformed itself. And in many cultures of the world, then a caterpillar or butterflies in particular are really special things, because most things enter into this world, and when they leave this world, then they just end up being a bigger version of however they started. Whereas a caterpillar is one of those things that completely transforms itself, its way of being in the world, its way of operating and moving in physical space. It completely changes its identity. So it becomes quite a powerful symbol for the essence of change. And of course we can all do that, whether it's about feeling as though I can rather than I can't, whether it's about knowing that actually you have a purpose, you have something that you want to connect on, and that you've got time right now to explore it and invest in it. And that's what I spend a lot of my time doing, supporting people as a coach, whether that be in a corporate environment. Very often for me, it's working with people who want to be able to fundamentally change the way an entire business or an organisation operates, as we support them in developing the culture, the change, their leadership ability to be able to create more caterpillars into more butterflies in their organisation. And that means that I feel very, very privileged to be able to spend lots of time with people, having lots of amazing conversations. The other animal, very often, the other creature, should I say, that very often is held in high regard is the grasshopper or the cricket. Because it can jump further than its eyesight can see. So every single movement for it, every interaction move forward in the world, it's got to be a little bit of blind faith, because it's no idea once it sets off where it's going to land. And of course that's one of the things that occurs for lots of people right now. I spend a lot of time as a coach helping people understand that maybe you can't control everything, and one of those things right now is that as we've set off as a country into this period of time, we don't quite know where we're going to land. But one of the things that we do know is that we just simply, physics won't allow it, is we can't land back in our own history. So my very simple message, my thoughts for you today are, maybe it's time to be more like the butterfly, and maybe it's more like the grasshopper and the cricket right now. And that's not to get all very zen on you, but just to be able to question and maybe explore, do we want it to go back to normal? Do you want to be able to go back to normal? Or would it be really fabulous to be able to use this period now to reflect on what's important, maybe to get some support around how to explore that? But actually, what would you like instead if you were to be able to define a new normal, to be able to create a new normal? What is it you'd have? Would you be happier? Would you be healthier? Would you focus on growing and being wealthier? Would you have a new skill set? What is it that you would do if you had the ability right now to be able to go forward?